I remember when I was little, I was walking to school one day, and I don't remember how old I was. I was probably a teenager. I think I was maybe 13. And I just happened to look up in the sky, and I saw a plane fly over my head. And I don't know, I just had this feeling that one day I was going to be on a plane. I didn't know where I was going to be going, but I just had this exhilarating, exciting feeling that whatever I was going to be somewhere exciting. And fast forward to 2003, I believe it was May of 2003. I was 23 years old. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't 2003, it was 2004. And that's the year that I got on the plane, and I was flying to I think Great Lakes, somewhere in Chicago, Illinois, where I will be starting my naval boot camp training. And from there, I would go on to my first station in San Diego. And since then, I've been on planes since then. So, as a young teen, I always seen myself as a career woman. You know, honestly, I've always had a passion for writing, and I knew one day that was going to be my career. But of course, I had to have something to back it up. You know, writing, you don't make money right away. So I always see myself as a career woman. I didn't know what I would be doing. You know, I just kind of see myself as wearing a suit and, you know, carrying a suitcase, and I just had this feeling, and it turned into a desire. And I remember, I don't know how old I was. Again, I think I was a teenager. I think it was a field trip, but we went to visit a college, a local college, and I walked in there and did the tour, and I just, again, just like the feeling I had when I looked up in the sky and seen that plane flying over my head, I had the same feeling that one day I'm gonna do big things. I'll be in school, I'll be, you know, getting my degree and starting my career. Fast forward to 2018, when I was 38. I was getting ready to celebrate. I was getting ready to go to my graduation ceremony at Wayne State and graduate with my Master's in Social Work. And then 30 days from that, right after 30 days from my graduation, I started my first job in my field, and I started off as a case manager. Another thing I remember as a young teen and as a young adult, I always wanted kids. You know, I would go back and forth on it. One minute I just wanted a girl. I always wanted a girl. Then I changed my mind and I said, I think I want a boy, you know. And then, you know, because I couldn't make up my mind on what I want, I just said, you know, I just want a boy and a girl. And I wanted the boy first so that he'd be old enough to protect my daughter. So that's what I've always, even once upon a time, and I'm telling you, it came and went. Also, don't ask me why, I wanted to have 6 tuplets, but that didn't last very long. I went back to the 2 kids. So, and that's something I always wanted, 2 kids, a boy and a girl, the boy first. And then when I got into my 20s, I started to entertain the idea of marriage. You know, I always wanted to be married. I don't know, I just felt like if I got married and had a family, my life would be complete. And I wanted that. And fast forward to age 35. By this time, I was a Navy veteran. I had already been out of the military for a good 4 or 5 years, I think, no longer than that. By this time, I had at least had my bachelor's in English, and I was getting ready to start my graduate program in social work and get my master's and work on my master's. But at 35, I was still single, never been married. I had not had my boy or girl yet. And it was this time that I was also diagnosed with fibroids. So, I wanted a family. And I remember talking to my OBGYN, and after she suggested a myomectomy, I said no. I had heard that even with surgery and different treatments, fibroids have a chance of growing back. And, I come from a family of individuals who are very health conscious, and, we like the whole holistic approach, natural, healthy way. I was going to try the all natural approach. I was going to see if there's any way I could shrink the fibroid, naturally, even though by this time it was already big. I figured that, it didn't make sense to get surgery just to go back and get surgery again in like 6 months to a year, or however long it would take for the fibroids to grow back. And so, in my mind, I said I'd step out on faith, trusting God, and I'm going to try this my way, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to finally get married, get my husband, then I'll go get the surgery, have the fibroids removed, then I'll go get pregnant, and then I'll have my happily ever after. But I waited, and I waited, and I waited. 6 years have passed. Fast forward to the present, spring of 2021, and I went to my OBGYN. I had a different OBGYN by this time, and he told me that my only option to get rid of fibroids was a hysterectomy. I had waited too long, and by this time there was no uterus left. The only thing I had left, the only thing that was in its place was this huge, gigantic, enormous fibroid. No uterus. But the problem, I wasn't married yet. I hadn't had my kids yet. How am I going to get a hysterectomy if I'm supposed to get pregnant and have my boy and my girl? How is this going to happen? So, I don't know. I had all kind of feelings. So I would see social media, and I would see occasional announcements for baby showers, and see women excited, expecting women post pictures of their growing belly, and all I can think about is that I don't know this feeling of carrying my child and feeling this baby growing in my belly, and feeling his heartbeat, his or her heartbeat, and I won't have the feeling of the baby kicking me. I won't know that experience of carrying a child because, I lost my uterus due to fibroids, and I won't have that experience. So, when I was told that I had to get a hysterectomy, I was sad. I was emotional. I was filled with emotion because having kids, especially getting pregnant, is what I always wanted. I did everything I was supposed to do. I stayed prayed up. All these years, I stayed prayed up. I stayed in the church. They say, pray and wait for your husband, and and be patient. And I was in somebody's church, whether I was, going to college or in the military or back in civilian life. I was somewhere at some church, praising the Lord and praying and listening to the sermon and getting into the sermon. And, I went to Bible study, whether it was Monday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, I was there, I wasn't, loosey-goosey, promiscuous. I didn't have my legs open for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I did everything that I thought that I was supposed to do. And after all of that, I find out that, first husband never came, and secondly, I won't be able to carry a child. Should I be angry at God? No. Nope, I know better. All those years that I went to church and was praising God, I grew. My faith grew. I grew in wisdom and spiritual maturity. And no, I'm not a saint. I don't say all this to say I'm a saint, or anything. I'm not a saint, I'm not perfect. I'm not a Bible scholar. But, I couldn't be mad if I wanted to, because I know better. I know the word. I know how God works. I don't know if everybody, especially all my spiritual brothers and sisters, know the story of Job. And there's this story of how, the enemy, the opposer, the Satan, went to God and, challenged him and said, you got this, hedge protection around Job, and if you would, the only reason why he serves you and does what he does because you're protecting him. I bet you if you remove your protection or your armor away from him, he will stop serving you. So God, knowing Job, he said, okay, but don't lay a finger on him, don't take his life. And so Job went through everything he went through, but in everything that he went through, he went through his emotions, his grieving process, questioning, why is this happening? But he trusted God. He had faith in God, or at least that's how the story was explained to me. So I'm not saying that God allowed this to happen or said you're not going to have a uterus when you get to a certain age. I do not believe God did that at all. That's just life. Things happen, that was just something that happened. But I do believe that, that story is there for a reason, and that's probably not the only time that the opposer went to God to have a conversation about somebody. Who knows? Maybe he went to God to have a conversation about me. And God, having foreknowledge, knew this was going to happen. And Satan is betting, yeah, she's going to stop believing in you, and she's not going to have any more faith in you because she's been going to church every Sunday, every chance she get, and she's been doing this and that. And as soon as you take away this opportunity for her to be a mom, she's going to stop believing in you. Well, that didn't happen. That did not happen. If anything, my faith got stronger. And what I learned from this situation is that God, or I shouldn't say I learned it because I already knew, but God is limitless. He can do impossible things. Things that seem impossible for us is possible for him. He can do so much, in spite of this body that's finite and limited, and it's has boundaries, and it has vulnerabilities and weaknesses. God is bigger than all of that. And my faith in God helped me to get through this grieving process of losing my uterus. Another thing I learned is that because God is limitless, I also learned to not always, think that a blessing is supposed to come in a specific box or a container. It's supposed to look a certain way, Even though I do no longer have a uterus and I cannot carry a child, does not mean that my opportunity of being a mother is gone. It's still there. I don't have to carry a child 9 months to love that child. I don't have to carry that child 9 months to have mother instincts. I have them with my nieces and nephews and other people's kids. So I'm learning that I still have options. It's just one of them have been taken away. So whatever the opposer tried to do, he didn't succeed. If anything, he just brought me closer to God. I thought that, I was looking at my life and noticed that it got everything else, but I didn't get the family. But what I didn't realize is that, everything that I had desired for, I got it. And it didn't come right away. It took some time. And it happened unexpectedly. It happened, it didn't happen the way I imagined it would happen. Like, when I saw that plane, I don't know, I just thought that I would be, like, I don't know, famous or something. But no, I didn't get famous, but I went into the military, which was still a very, it was a very good experience, and I would do it again if I had to. When I went to college, from what I've heard, most of my peers graduating from Cass Tech, scored high grades. They had high SAT, ACT scores, and they got scholarships. And I didn't get a scholarship, and unfortunately, my grades weren't high enough for me to get into college. But I got in there anyway. I still got in, and I got to go to Wayne State University through other means. So I guess what that means is that everything I desired, it didn't come in the box that I expected to come in, but it's going to come. So therefore, then I have faith that, God must have foreseen my future and seen that I wasn't going to be able to carry a child, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be a mother. It's just going to come in a way that I didn't expect it. So I'm thankful and grateful. Everything I have, it took a lot of hard work and patience and faith. The same thing is going to apply to me becoming a mother. And that's pretty much what I learned in the situation. And so with my story, if I had to give any type of encouraging words or advice, first and foremost, I'm telling my story, if nothing else, to let anyone out there, any woman out there that's dealing with infertility issues, that's, wanted children, but unfortunately couldn't have any because of fibroids or because of any other, disorder that caused you to lose your uterus. What I would say is, first of all, it's okay to grieve. Grieve is a very important part of the healing process. And grieving is, be mindful, be in the moment, be honest about your feelings. If you're having feelings of anger, sadness, emotion, you feel like crying, do it. It's necessary. It's part of your healing. Now, grieving is not the same as being depressed or being bitter, or just turn into this distrustful person, this word I'm looking for, this person who's woe with me, everything is gloom and doom. That's not what grief is. I look at it like, say if you cut yourself. When you cut yourself, it hurts, it's painful, you having all these emotions. You might even say something you didn't meant to say because it hurted, but you go through the process, and over time the wound heals, and as it heals, the pain starts to go away. Sometimes you might hit, you might accidentally hit the sore and you might be ouch for a little bit, but then after a while it completely heals, and when you look at it, you no longer feel pain, but it's a reminder of what you've been through. So that's kind of how I look at grief. I don't know if that's a good definition for it. You're going through a healing process. you have to grieve the loss of whatever you lost in your life, whether it was a relationship, an opportunity, whether it was a loved one, a child, whatever you're grieving. It's okay to have the feelings you're having. It's a process and it's necessary.